Astronaut Spencer's wife experiences a tragic incident where his spacecraft explodes, resulting in his death. On the same day, she wakes up to find herself pregnant with twin extraterrestrial beings. The film begins with Juliane standing in front of the window, witnessing a distant spaceship ascending into space, carrying Spencer on a classified mission with his friend Alex. Later, it is revealed that Juliane works at a school where the children adore her for playing with them all day. One day, a student informs her about a phone call for her, insisting that she must answer it urgently. Juliette answers the call and learns that it is from NASA. They inform her that her husband Spencer wants to talk to her, surprising her. She is overjoyed that he is calling her from space and is interested in her. Back home, she shares the news with her sister, Nada, expressing her happiness that Spencer loves her a lot. Suddenly, breaking news on television announces a serious incident involving a NASA spacecraft, the same one carrying her husband Spencer and his friend Alex. The doorbell rings, and when she opens it, a man named Reese from NASA appears, explaining that she must come with him immediately. Juliane goes with Reese to NASA headquarters, where she encounters Natalie, Alex's wife. They hug each other tightly, each believing that their husbands have died. However, the NASA director arrives and reveals that Spencer and Alex are alive. They had lost communication due to a massive explosion while fixing a satellite. After some time, they manage to re-establish contact and return safely to Earth. A large screen is then opened, likely displaying a reunion or communication between the astronauts and their families. To continue their story, they follow the astronauts landing on Earth. After a short while, the spacecraft lands, and the astronauts are taken to the hospital for treatment. The doctor reassures Juliane that her husband is fine. On the other hand, Alex is severely injured and is admitted to the intensive care unit. Days pass, and Juliane spends most of her time by her husband's side until he fully recovers. One day, Spencer wakes up and reassures Juliane when he finds her by his side. However, Alex's condition worsens, and he experiences severe seizures. Doctors try to save him, administering powerful electric shocks. Miraculously, Alex wakes up again, and they manage to save him. Natalie, Alex's wife, is present, crying and unsure of how to help. Days pass, and Alex improves, eventually leaving the hospital. A celebration is held to honor the astronauts. During the event, Juliane meets Natalie, who expresses concern as her husband has not spoken to her since leaving the hospital. Juliane consoles her, explaining that they need time to recover from the effects of the treatment. In the following days, Spencer decides to leave NASA as he has a promising job offer in New York City. Juliane is upset as she doesn't want to leave the city, her job, or the children she loves. Despite her reluctance, she agrees. At a company event, Spencer announces his decision, and Juliane notices something strange. Alex is behaving erratically, screaming and bleeding from his eyes. Suddenly, he collapses, and despite efforts to save him, Alex tragically dies. Afterward, they hold a large press conference and announce that Alex died due to a stroke. The attendees are shocked by what happened. At the funeral, Juliane approaches Natalie to comfort her because she is sitting alone, crying. Natalie tells Juliane that recently she felt her husband was talking to someone not from Earth in a strange language. She also feels that there is a strange being living inside her. Juliane is shocked by her words but tries to console her, attributing her statements to the shock of what happened. Natalie hands her a note and leaves. Later, after taking a nap, Juliane goes to talk to Spencer. After a while, they hear screams from Natalie's daughter. Hurrying to see what is happening, they are all shocked to find that Natalie has committed suicide in a gruesome way. She electrocuted herself in the bathtub with a radio. She couldn't bear life without Alex. Time passes, and one day, Juliane and Spencer attend a grand party hosted by the company's CEO. Juliane notices that Spencer is behaving differently than before. Initially unsociable, he now has many connections and meets new people every day. Juliane tells him that she wants to know everything about the incident in space, especially what happened when the communication was lost with Earth. Spencer, unable to contact them, continues to tell her about things that haven't happened yet. She doesn't feel anything until the next day when she finds herself in bed, realizing that something happened between them. She experiences severe pain in her abdomen and hears strange noises in her head. This is something new since she got married to Spencer, and she doesn't know the cause. Juliane, on the other hand, is living in a strange state, unable to get rid of the voices in her head or forget the night that passed. So, Spencer calls her sister and tells her that her life is very difficult, and she can't cope with the strange occurrences happening in New York lately. After a while, Juliane takes a pregnancy test and discovers that she is pregnant with twins. However, she is not happy and can't pinpoint the exact reason. They are invited to Mr. McLaren's house, her boss, who is obsessed with space, airplanes, and rockets. At the McLaren's house, Juliane feels uncomfortable. McLaren and his wife put their little daughter to sleep, and Spencer approaches Juliane, asking her about the recent changes in her behavior. Juliane expresses her discomfort with the new people in their lives and admits that she prefers a simple and quiet life away from all of that. She reminds him that she had previously told him he couldn't leave his job, but he did after the incident in space. Spencer is bothered by her words, and she eventually tells him that she is pregnant. He is overjoyed, and the next day they go to the doctor to check on the pregnancy. The doctor reveals that she is pregnant with twins. When alone, Juliane tells Spencer that after her parents' death, she entered a mental health facility and was undergoing treatment. She fears death, especially after dreaming about her parents and experiencing many nightmares. She is worried that it might affect the pregnancy. The doctor assures her that she can contact her anytime if she needs support. Juliane joins a support group for mothers expecting twins, finding comfort in their understanding and assistance in overcoming the difficult period. Juliane recovered, and a few months passed. She and Spencer were happily anticipating the birth, looking forward to the completion of the 9-month period. One day, Juliane finds herself in a children's toy store, ecstatic about the pregnancy. Suddenly, Mr. Reese appears, visibly anxious and tense. He informs her that he needs to discuss a crucial matter regarding the incident that occurred to her husband in space. He emphasizes the importance of keeping it confidential and asks if she has noticed anything unusual in her husband's behavior since his return from space. Juliane is puzzled about why he is asking these questions, feeling uneasy and concerned. Reese follows her and reveals that they have been dismissed from NASA because Spencer discovered something significant related to the space explosion. He informs her that Spencer made a grave error, and suspicions arose during various tests and experiments, including differences in Spencer's signature before and after the space mission. There are also serious medical concerns leading Reese to believe that Spencer might not be the same person. Juliane becomes convinced that Mr. Reese is insane, asks him to stay away, and fears his involvement. Despite her pleas, Reese insists, revealing that Natalie was pregnant before her death. Juliane is shocked when she learns that something happened in space with her husband and Alex. Reese assures her that no one knows the details and hands her a recording device containing all the conversations between her husband and Alex during their time in space. Juliane returns home, listens to the recording, and discovers that her husband and Alex witnessed something during the space explosion, something unimaginable. They heard about her before, then there was a knock on the door. She gets up, scared and anxious, but she's relieved to find out that it's her sister who came to be with her. Her sister traveled a long distance to support her during this difficult time. They talk, and Juliane tells her everything that happened in her recent life between her and Spencer. She shares all the discoveries she made about him and warns her not to tell Spencer anything or disclose this information to anyone, as it could endanger her life. One day, Mr. Reese contacts Juliane, shocking her by revealing that Natalie was pregnant with twins. Juliane, already pregnant with twins herself, questions him about the autopsy results of Natalie's body and the appearance of the twins. Reese insists on meeting her personally to show her everything. The next day, they meet, but before discussing anything about Natalie's body, Spencer appears. Juliane quickly hides to avoid being seen, as everything could be ruined if Spencer discovers her presence. Spencer and Reese continue to talk, and Spencer suggests that Reese might intervene and help him get his job back at NASA. They have a long conversation, leaving Juliane alone and unaware of the details. Afterward, Juliane tries to contact Mr. Reese at the hotel where he was staying, but she can't reach him or meet him. However, Reese, being clever, had left her a key to a secret safe containing everything he wanted to tell her in case they couldn't meet. She takes the key, goes to the safe, and discovers numerous photos of her husband, Spencer, realizing that Reese had been monitoring him since his return from space. She finds a videotape, but before she can watch it, the power cuts off. Terrified, she tries to escape the place quickly, convinced that something terrible is about to happen. When she returns home, she sees. The video clip I took contains Reese explaining in detail what happened in space with her husband and Alex. She mentions that after examining everything, they discovered something very strange that was close to her husband and Alex at the time they lost contact with Earth. Reese tells them that she is sure there was an alien creature with them, trying to reach Earth. It overwhelmed them, entering and taking over each of their bodies. Alex's body couldn't withstand the alien being, so he died in a very mysterious way. Juliane is shocked by everything she hears, connecting this information with Spencer's recent behavior. She becomes convinced that the entity with her is not her real husband Spencer, but in reality, it is an extraterrestrial being that took over her husband's body and descended to Earth. She also confirms that the twins in her womb are not human children but extraterrestrial creatures. After discovering the truth, Juliane decides to get rid of the pregnancy. However, before she can do so, Spencer suddenly appears, strikes her, and warns her not to attempt anything again and not to try to bring down his children. At that moment, Juliane throws herself down the stairs to get rid of the creatures. Spencer takes her to the hospital, and after recovering, Juliane decides not to say anything about what happened, fearing legal consequences related to abortion. In the hospital, she witnesses a terrible chaos as Spencer kills her sister. Shocked, she leaves the hospital to check on her sister. Spencer realizes she left the hospital and follows her. Juliane arrives home, closes the door behind her, and enters the room where she dreamed her sister died, only to discover that it was just a dream. Spencer breaks the door, enters the house, and Juliane is left startled. She is in the kitchen, with water on the floor, holding the radio wire and the power plug for another purpose. She threatens Spencer to stay away from her, or she will kill herself and their children. At that moment, Juliane notices blood on Spencer's hand and realizes that he indeed killed her sister. It wasn't just a dream, but a reality. She tells him that she knows his true identity as an extraterrestrial being who killed her husband and sister, took over their bodies, and has been living through them. She confesses that he killed her sister because she was standing in his way, murdered her husband and Alex, and took over their bodies, living inside her through the twins in her womb. Then, the entire house starts flooding with water, Juliane lifts her leg off the ground, electricity is restored, and the whole place becomes electrified. Spencer gets electrocuted and dies. The extraterrestrial being exits Spencer's body and enters Juliane's body, taking control. Time passes, and we learn that Juliane got married, had her twins, and is leading a very normal life. Her current husband is a space explorer, similar to Spencer. The film concludes with this revelation.